Welcome back to the deep dive. I hope you're sitting comfortably. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. I hope you're somewhere quiet. Maybe with the lights dimmed a little low. Because today we are going into the weird stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We are lighting a candle, we are locking the door, and we're stepping into a room where the laws of physics are, let's just say, suggestions rather than rules.
It is definitely that kind of deep dive. It's funny you mentioned the lighting, because the session we are covering today has this incredibly specific, cozy, almost smoky atmosphere.
Yeah.
It feels less like a lecture and much more like a late-night confession.
Exactly. The kind of conversation you have at 2 in the morning when you've run out of small talk and you start asking the big, scary questions.
Totally. What happens when we die? Or are my thoughts secret? Or
Why is my coworker trying to destroy me?
the classics, all the classics.
So for everyone tuning in, we are diving back into the Seth material today. Specifically, we are looking at session 203. Now, if you are new to the deep dive or new to Seth, here is the elevator pitch. Jane Roberts, a writer in the 1960s, she enters a trance state and speaks for a multidimensional consciousness named Seth.
And unlike a lot of channeled material that can be, very vague or flowery, Seth is incredibly precise.
They're so precise.
He's dry, he's funny, and he's often smarter than the people in the room.
He's the smartest guy in the room, and he doesn't even have a body. But before we get lost in all that, we have some very important housekeeping to do.
Right.
We need to be crystal clear about where this is coming from and what we are doing here.
Yeah, we have to state clearly that this whole thing is distributed free of charge on all major platforms for educational purposes. We're here to explore this material, to analyze it, and hopefully to learn something.
And we are not the owners of this material. The source we are pulling from is the early sessions, book 5 of the Seth material. All the credit, all the applause, it goes to the New Awareness Network for publishing this and keeping it available.
And if you listen to this and think, I need to read the actual words, please do. You're just giving you the highlights. You can find the books and a whole lot more at sethcenter.com/theearlysessions.
Yes, support the source.
Please.
Absolutely. Okay, scene setting. It is October 28, 1965. It's a Thursday evening.
And crucially, it is an unscheduled session.
Right.
Usually Jane, who Seth calls Ruburt, and her husband Rob, who Seth calls Joseph, ran a pretty tight ship. They had specific nights for sessions. But tonight, they have friends over.
Bill and Peggy Gallagher.
Right. And Seth has nicknames for them, too, which is just great. He calls Bill the Jesuit because of his religious background.
Of course he does.
And he calls Peggy the cat lover.
Which is adorable.
It is. So you have to imagine the scene. They've probably had dinner, maybe a few drinks. Jane is sitting on the floor. She's chain smoking. Her eyes are open, but they're darker, different. The voice is different. She's there, but she's not there.
It's not a seance with like holding hands and table tipping. It's a living room chat.
Exactly. And because it's unscheduled, the agenda is just wide open. We aren't slogging through some textbook chapter on the nature of matter.
Yo.
We are bouncing around based on what the guests Bill and Peggy have been up to.
It's like an Ask Me Anything with a ghost.
Basically, yes. And because of that, we get this incredible mix of topics. I mean, we are going to talk about telepathy, but not the card-guessing kind.
Yeah.
We're talking about telepathic spy networks that you are currently a part of, whether you signed up for it or not.
We're going to talk about office politics, specifically how someone can smile at you while their subconscious energy is like literally trying to push you out the window.
We've got a life hack for panic attacks that involves entering a light trance while you're drowning.
Which sounds counterintuitive.
A little bit, yeah.
We're going to rewrite American history with a theory about the Incas that would make a historian just faint.
And finally, we are going to define God.
Okay.
Using a toenail.
A toenail.
A toenail.
I can't wait. Let's start with this invisible web idea. So Bill and Peggy, the guests, had just come back from a vacation in Puerto Rico.
Right. And like anyone fresh off a trip, they're eager to share their stories. So they start telling Rob and Jane about this weird coincidence that happened on the island.
I do love a good coincidence story.
So while they were in Puerto Rico, miles and miles from home, they bumped into a physiotherapist.
Okay.
And it turns out this woman works at Duke University.
Oh, Duke is a big deal in this context.
Huge. Duke was home to the parapsychology lab, run by Dr. J.B. Rhine. He was the guy trying to prove ESP was real using science.
Right, the card guessing, the dice rolling.
All of it. Statistical analysis. He was the father of modern parapsychology.
So Bill and Peggy are on a beach somewhere, and they just happen to meet a woman who works for Dr. Rhine.
Not just works for him, she handles his mail. She knows the ins and outs of the whole lab. So Bill, the Jesuit, he starts grilling her. He's fascinated by this stuff.
He's getting all the inside info.
All of it. So they come back to Elmira, New York, and tell Seth, hey, guess what? Small world.
And Seth, in his typical fashion, basically says,
That wasn't a coincidence. And also, I already knew.
Of course he did, but he explains how he knew, and this is where it gets a little sticky for those of us who, value our privacy.
Oh, it gets very sticky. Stick with me here. Seth claims that while Bill was in Puerto Rico talking to this woman, he was absorbing the information. That's normal.
Sure.
But Seth says Bill was also broadcasting it.
Broadcasting it to whom?
To Jane, to Ruburt.
But Jane was in New York, Bill was in Puerto Rico. They didn't have cell phones in 1965.
No, but they had this, he calls it constant telepathic communication. Seth explains it like this. Bill picked up the data telepathically from the woman, sort of reading her deeper knowledge of Dr. Rhine.
Okay.
And then immediately, subconsciously, fired that data off to Jane.
So before Bill even got on the plane to come home, Jane's subconscious already knew about the meeting.
Subconsciously, yes. Seth says, and this is a quote, Ruburt doesn't know he has received it. The Jesuit doesn't know he has given it.
That is the key part for me. Neither of them knew it was happening. It wasn't like Jane woke up and said, aha, Bill is talking to a physiotherapist.
Right. It's background data. It's like a software update running while your phone is in your pocket. Seth says, this operates with you both and Ruburt, and of course with me. It implies that we are constantly running a background app on our mental phones that just downloads data from our friends and family.
Okay, let's pause and unpack the implications of that, because that is terrifying.
Is it? Or is it cool?
It's terrifying. It means I'm a walking radio tower. I'm standing in line at the coffee shop thinking about how much I hate my haircut or how worried I am about my bank account. I'm just beaming that out.
According to Seth.
Yes.
But the flip side is, so is everyone else.
That's just a lot of noise. It's just static.
And Seth would argue that's why we have the conscious mind, the ego. It acts as a filter. If you heard every thought from every person in the grocery store, you'd collapse. You'd go catatonic. So your brain just filters it all out. You only get the pings that matter.
Like when you think of a friend you haven't seen in 6 months, and 10 seconds later they text you.
Exactly. You think it's magic. Seth says it's just mechanics. You picked up their I'm about to text you signal before the network even delivered the message.
So it really reframes social interaction. We think conversation is I talk, you listen. But this suggests the real conversation happens before we even open our mouths.
It completely explains vibes. You know when you meet someone and you just instantly recoil?
Oh, yeah.
You don't know why. They're dressed nicely, they're polite, but your stomach just turns.
Or the opposite. You meet someone and you feel like you've known them for 10 years.
Seth would say that's because you've already exchanged the resume telepathically.
Yeah.
You've scanned their subconscious, they've scanned yours, and the vibe check is done. The handshake is just a formality.
It makes the world feel a lot smaller and a lot messier.
The invisible web is a good name for it. We are all stuck in it, you know.
Speaking of being stuck in a web, let's talk about the workplace. Because nothing feels more like a sticky web than office politics.
This is one of my favorite parts of the session because it's so grounded. Seth pivots from this high-level cosmic telepathy to Peggy's job at the newspaper.
It's such a sharp turn. Here is the fundamental nature of the universe. Now let's talk about that girl in accounting.
But it's relevant. Seth warns Peggy. He says the cat lover should look out for someone. A situation may have developed in your absence.
And Peggy immediately knows who he means, doesn't she? She asks, is it the new Chinese girl?
And Seth says, indeed. Now pause here. Usually when a psychic warns you about a coworker, what's the narrative?
Oh, it's always a villain story. She's evil, she hates you, she's plotting to steal your stapler and your pension. Pure malice.
Right, malice. But Seth flips this completely. He says, she has no particular designs consciously, as far as you are concerned.
So she's nice, she brings donuts to the office.
Consciously, yes. She probably thinks she's a great colleague. But Seth says she has strong subconscious energies, and she has a goal, and you are in the way.
You are in the way. That's so cold. It's so impersonal.
It's physics. It's not personal. She wants to advance. She has ambition. That ambition is a force. You happen to occupy the spot she wants. Therefore, her energy is pushing against your energy.
Even if she smiles and asks about your weekend.
Even then.
Mm.
Seth uses a quote here that is just... It should be a bumper sticker for corporate America.
Okay.
He says, she is a woman who intends you no harm, but who could convince herself that she was not harming you one iota while she stabbed you in the back.
While she stabbed you in the back. That is visceral.
It is. But think about the psychology of that. It's
Yeah.
the nice backstabber. The person who says, oh, I didn't mean to get you in trouble. I was just trying to help. And the scary part is they believe it.
They really believe their own innocence.
Seth says her subconscious drive for success allows her to rationalize literally anything. She isn't evil. She's just a force vector pointing directly in your direction.
So what is Peggy supposed to do? Bring garlic to work? A wooden stake?
No, Seth actually advises against a war. He says it is a nuisance rather than a momentous event. He tells her, not one to be on the angry defensive about, but merely alert.
Just know it's happening. Just be aware.
Awareness is the defense. If you know there's a tank rolling down the hallway, you don't have to shoot at it. You just have to step out of its path.
Don't take it personally. It's not about you. It's about her trajectory.
Exactly. Sometimes you aren't the target. You're just the speed bump.
I feel like I need to go apologize to some former coworkers, or maybe they need to apologize to me. I'm not sure which.
Huh. Probably both. We've all been the tank and the speed bump at some point.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's move to the part of the session that I think is the most news you can use. We've talked about mental webs and office wars. Now let's talk about survival.
The drowning story.
Yeah. So Bill, again, the Jesuit, tells this story about his trip. He's in Puerto Rico, and he goes skin diving. And Bill isn't a novice, you know. He's a strong swimmer.
But the ocean doesn't care how good a swimmer you are.
No, it does not. He gets caught between the tides. The water is choppy. He's getting tossed around. He's exhausted. And then the worst thing happens.
Panic.
He admits it. He says he started to panic. And anyone who has been in deep water knows that feeling. It's cold, it's dark, you can't breathe properly, and your brain just starts screaming, we are going to die.
Panic is a physiological fire.
Yeah.
It just burns up your oxygen. It tenses your muscles, which makes you sink. It clouds your judgment. Bill was in serious, serious trouble.
So he survives, obviously, because he's in the living room telling the story. But he tells Seth, probably expecting a pat on the back. Oh, poor Bill, that must have been so scary.
And Seth. Seth goes into coach mode. He critiques him.
He does. He basically says, you did it wrong.
He says, and I quote, the trance state would have disintegrated the panic within seconds.
Okay, stop. Trance state. When I hear trance, I think of someone zoning out. I think of someone half asleep, drooling a little bit. If I am drowning in the Atlantic Ocean, why on earth would I want to be in a trance?
And that is the common misconception, right?
Mm-hmm.
We think trance equals low energy. Seth defines a light trance as a state of absolute singular focus.
Explain that.
Think about a surgeon during a complex operation. The building could be on fire, and they wouldn't even notice.
Mm.
They are 100% locked in on the scalpel. That is a trance. Or think about a baseball player hitting a fastball.
Mm.
They aren't thinking about their laundry.
Yeah.
They are in the zone.
So Seth is saying Bill needed to get in the zone.
He needed to shut down the noise. The noise was the panic. Oh, God, I'm dying. What about my wife? What about my job? That noise is what kills you. The trance shuts the noise off so the body can do what it knows how to do, which is swim.
So Seth gives a specific instruction. He gives a mantra.
He does.
Yeah.
And I actually wrote this down on a Post-it note on my desk because I think it's so powerful.
What is it?
Seth says Bill should have said to himself, I am now in a light trance state, and I will deal with the problem at hand.
I am now in a light trance state, and I will deal with the problem at hand.
It sounds so formal, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds like a command line entry in a computer code.
That's exactly what it is. It's a command to the ego. It's a circuit breaker. You are telling your conscious, panicked mind, I am acknowledging the situation, but I am shifting gears. I am moving from react mode to execute mode.
And you don't have to be drowning to use this, right?
No, not at all. Seth specifically mentions using it for ulcer pain. He says, you can do this when you have pain.
Which makes total sense. Pain is just a signal, but the suffering comes from focusing on the pain, panicking about the pain.
Right. It hurts. It's going to hurt forever. Why me? That's the panic. The light trance allows you to step back and say, there is a sensation of pain. I will now deal with it. It creates distance.
He also mentions business problems.
Right. Imagine you're in a meeting. Your boss is screaming at you. You messed up a big project. Your face is getting hot. Your heart is pounding. You are effectively drowning in anxiety.
That is the modern equivalent of being caught in the tide, for sure.
Exactly. So instead of spiraling, you mentally say, I am now in a light trance state. You lock out the emotion. You look at the boss. You hear the words. You find the solution. You don't react. You respond.
It's emotional regulation. It's mindfulness decades before mindfulness was a buzzword.
It is, and it highlights something really important about the Seth material. It's not just airy-fairy metaphysics. It's incredibly practical. Here is how to stop freaking out so you don't die.
Yeah, useful stuff. Okay, speaking of things that are useful, how about we rewrite history?
Let's do it. The Incas.
This is the part of the deep dive where we have to put on our tinfoil hats for just a second. Or at least our Indiana Jones fedoras.
Definitely the fedoras.
So Bill asks a question about the spot where he was diving in Puerto Rico. He says there were rumors of an underwater village, old ruins. He asks Seth if it was Carib Indians.
Which would be the logical, historical guess for that region.
Totally. But Seth says no. He corrects him immediately. He says it was Inca, your village.
Now, for context, in 1965, and largely still today, mainstream history places the Incas in the Andes Mountains, Peru, Chile.
Right, mountain people.
They were master stonemasons, but they weren't known as great seafarers who colonized the Caribbean. That's not in the textbooks.
But Seth doubles down. He doesn't just say maybe. He says the Incas were explorers.
He claims they traveled by sea and over land. He says they reached Florida. He says they set up small villages for outposts, for inland explorations.
Incas in Florida. It sounds like an episode of Ancient Aliens or something.
It does. But Seth paints a very human, very tragic picture of this. He says these weren't great conquering cities, they were outposts, and the people that were waiting for supply ships from Peru.
Ships that never came.
Exactly. Seth says they died, and their home city was never aware of their location.
Well, that gives me chills. Imagine being stuck in Florida, which was just a swamp back then, waiting for a ship from home, and it just...
Yeah.
It never shows up. You are completely and utterly cut off.
It's a ghost story, a lost colony story.
And Seth mentions there are more.
He does. He drops a little teaser. He says there are highly developed cities and remains that have not yet been discovered. And he specifically mentions one near Cape Horn, at the very tip of South America.
So he's making a falsifiable claim here. He's saying, go look, dig here, you'll find it.
It really fits the theme of the deep dive, doesn't it? Hidden knowledge. Whether you accept it as historical fact or not, it challenges the narrative.
For sure.
It suggests that human history is far more mobile, far more interconnected, and far older than we give it credit for.
It also reminds us that history is written by the winners, or at least by the survivors.
Right.
The Incas in Florida didn't survive to write their memoirs.
So they are forgotten, until a disembodied spirit brings them up in a living room in New York 500 years later.
Which is wild. Just absolutely wild.
It is.
All right, let's pivot from lost civilizations to the biggest topic of all, the big G.
God.
Bill, being the Jesuit, he can't help himself. He has to ask. He asks about Christ. He asks if God appears in human form.
It's the classic theological question, right? The incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
Was Jesus God? Is God a person? Does God have a face?
And Seth's answer is surprisingly nuanced. He doesn't just say yes or no.
He starts by addressing Christ. He says, your Christ had abilities which I still do not have. But he was not of your form.
Not of your form. That's cryptic.
He explains that people saw what they could understand.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you saw a fragment. It's like, imagine trying to explain a smartphone to a medieval peasant.
Okay.
They might call it a magic mirror. They aren't wrong, exactly, but they aren't seeing the whole truth. They are seeing the fragment they can comprehend.
So Christ was a projection of something much, much larger.
Essentially, a bridge between the divine and the human that we could actually look at without our eyes melting.
And Seth gets a little sassy here about his own appearance, doesn't he?
He does. So Rob had painted a portrait of Seth. If you've seen it, it's striking. It's a dark, brooding, bald man with these intense eyes. It's not exactly a glamour shot.
And Seth has opinions.
Seth looks at the painting through Jane's eyes and says, I have at times been more presentable than that.
Vanity. Even spirits have vanity. That's amazing.
Everyone wants to look good in their profile picture.
Yeah.
Even multi-dimensional entities.
But then he moves into a prediction, and this is something that really caught my eye. He predicts a change in consciousness.
Yeah, he says this in 1965. And he predicts a change in roughly 100 years. So we're talking about 2065.
That's getting close. We're on the way there.
He says the next big leap for humanity won't be technological. It won't be about better rockets or faster computers or AI. He says it will involve an expansion of consciousness. You will directly and simply perceive more.
Directly perceive more. That goes right back to the telepathy stuff, doesn't it?
I think so.
Hmm.
It implies that the filter we talked about, the ego blocking out all the noise, might thin out a bit. We might start to actually feel that connection we have with others instead of just talking about it.
Instead of just believing we are connected, we will experience it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to explain why we are connected, he gives us the toenail analogy.
The philosophy of the toenail. I honestly think this is brilliant.
It's so humble, but it worked so perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Seth looks at Peggy, who has been pretty quiet, and tries to explain our relationship to God. He says, look at your finger.
Okay, looking at my finger.
It's part of your body. It has blood. It has cells. It's alive. But your finger doesn't know what your brain is thinking. Your finger doesn't know you're worried about taxes. It just does finger stuff.
It bends, it points, it's a finger.
Then he says, your toenail is also a part of you. In the same way we are related to God.
It's such a distinct and kind of funny image.
It destroys the idea of separation. In a lot of Western religion, we see God as over there, up on a cloud, a king on a throne, and we are down here, separate.
Seth says, no, you are the toenail. You are attached.
You are made of the same stuff. You are part of the organism. You might be a tiny part. You might be a peripheral part. You might not understand the brain of God, but you are undeniably, inseparably part of the body.
You are part of God in that you are part of the consciousness that is.
It totally changes how you see yourself. You aren't a creation separate from the Creator. You are an extension of the Creator, a thought form of the Creator.
And this leads him to define what religion actually is. And he's pretty tough on the organized stuff.
Oh, he is. He says true religion isn't about going to church or following a bunch of rules.
Yeah.
He says the Buddhists are perhaps closer, but even they don't quite hit the bullseye.
So what is the bullseye? What's the real thing?
He says true religion is feeling identity with each passing day. It's empathy, pure empathy.
He drops this line that I love, sentiment is practical.
That should be tattooed on someone. Sentiment is practical. We are taught that feelings are weak, that logic is king. Seth says no. Feeling is the mechanism of connection. If you are part of the web, feeling is how you navigate the web.
He gives examples. Those who cry when they hurt a flea. Those who appreciate the consciousness in every rock, tree, bird. Come close.
It's radical empathy. It's recognizing that if the rock is a toenail and you are a finger, then hurting the rock is hurting yourself. It's all the same body.
Fools and idiots are often wiser than the wise man.
Because they feel. They haven't intellectualized themselves out of the connection. They see a bird and they feel joy. That, according to Seth, is religion.
This builds to the crescendo of the session, the outro, and this is where the chilling vibe of the evening gets a little heavy.
It gets very heavy. Seth stops joking about cats. He stops teasing Bill. The whole tone shifts.
He talks about killing.
He says, when you kill so much as an ant, so do you kill part of him. And he's referring to God, or all that is.
Which tracks. If you cut off a toenail, you are hurting the body. It makes sense.
But then he goes a step further. And this is the thought that I want our listeners to really sit with today. This is the real deep dive moment.
He says, when you kill in thought, you kill in deed.
When you kill in thought, you kill indeed.
Let that just hang in the air for a second.
We live in a culture that values action over thought. We think as long as I don't physically punch you, I'm a good person. We think our minds are private playgrounds where we can be as nasty and destructive as we want.
We can wish ill on our boss. We can hate our ex. We can visualize our enemies failing miserably. And we think it's victimless. It's just in my head.
Seth says, no. Based on everything we've learned today, the telepathy, the energy displacing the coworker, the invisible web thoughts are actions.
Thoughts have reality.
They have form. They have energy. If you generate a thought of destruction, you have committed an act of destruction in the energetic realm. You have sent a bullet through the invisible web.
It raises the stakes of mental hydra, doesn't it?
Immensely. It's not just about being nice because it's polite. It's about recognizing the power you wield just by thinking. You are a creator. And if you create hate in your mind, you are putting hate into the system.
It forces you to audit your own mind. When you're driving in traffic and you scream inside your head at the guy who cut you off.
You are sending a psychic attack. It sounds so dramatic, but in Seth's framework, that is the mechanics of it. You fired a weapon.
When you kill in thought, you kill in deed. That is a lot to mull over.
It is. It's a heavy note to end on, but I think it's the most important one. Because it also empowers you. It means you can also heal in thought. You can help in thought.
If the gun is real, then the bandage is real too.
Exactly.
Well, I think my brain is sufficiently melted for one day.
Mine too. That was a lot.
If you want to explore this further, and you really, really should, please go check out the source material. This was just one session, session 203 from the early sessions, book 5.
You can find the books at sethcenter.com/theearlysessions. Read it for yourself. See what stands out to you. Don't take our word for it.
We want to thank you for joining us in the living room today. Thanks for sitting on the floor with us, metaphorically speaking.
And a special shout out to the cat lovers out there. Seth might be afraid of our feline friends, but we know better.
We do. Take care of your thoughts, everyone.
And take care of each other.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.